What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea, and I am joined tonight by the seventh juror, fifth placer of Ascendance Live, season three. I'm here with Ozzy. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing good. Sad that I'm not going to be in the next episode, but it's all good. Still supporting everyone.
Yes. Um, Fifth place is nothing to scoff at. Obviously, you made a deep run in this season, but I am so excited to get to ask you some questions that I've been thinking about throughout the season. But I want to start off first with obviously pretty new to Ascendance, the format. Was it what you expected? Did you have anything that was you weren't expecting?
I mean, I didn't watch season two at all. I mean, I saw the first episode, as we can tell, but
Yes.
I
Oh yeah.
didn't want to watch anything going into it. I kind of wanted to have this like fresh mind, which is probably like not the smartest thing going into it, knowing people were gonna know each other, but I was doing it for myself, not for anyone else. So I was just like, let me just go in with no like background of it. And the only thing that I expected was not to know anybody.
And you didn't.
I did not.
So you were right on with that. But speaking of people in the game, you had an instant connection here with Madison, right in the beginning episodes. So I wanted to ask you, it seemed like it was from the episodes, it was pretty public that you guys were together in the game. Um, did you feel that way? And if so, do you wish you kept that a little bit more secretive?
See, this is the thing. Like going into Ascendance, there was a lot of times you probably realize it. Like I forgot I was in the game at all. So like instantly I clicked with Madison and it was like, oh my God, this is my girl. This is my friend. It was just like the game wasn't even happening. It was just like, this is what I would do with Madison on a regular. So like
Yeah.
be perceived as this duo, I was like, whatever, bring it on. Somebody has to. Everybody else was like, oh no, I don't know this one. I don't know this one. I'm like, well, it's me. I'm cool with someone.
Yeah. Um, I only asked that because when I spoke with Madison, she said that she kind of wished that she kept it more under wraps. But it seemed to work out pretty well for you. Obviously, she did go home a little bit earlier. I want to bring up the night at the Coliseum. I don't want to go deep into it. We've talked about it ad nauseum here on the podcast. Fun episode, of course. You were definitely involved there, but post this kind of breakout disagreement, whatever we call it, there your name kind of came up in a couple of votes right after. Obviously, you didn't get the majority of the votes, but your name was kind of the counter name a couple times. Did you feel like that public argument was kind of hindering your game a little bit towards the middle once that happened?
So here's the thing. There was like for the first 2 days, I was kind of like building up this thing towards Emily because she kept saying like her sly remarks on the side, and I'm just like, Ozzy, do not be the one to get into the biggest argument first or drama, whatever. Because I told myself, do not be in drama. But it's after a while, like it's like side comments. I was just like, it was the end of the day of that Scrabble challenge. I was beat. I was tired. I'm like, I'm entitled to freaking be tired. So she had said a comment as I was walking out of the bathroom, and I think I just snapped. It was just like, girl, we're not doing that today. So I think it was just like the emotions of 2 nights. And then in my head, I'm like, this is gonna put a target on me because obviously people are gonna know, like, oh my God, Ozzy's fighting, blah, blah, blah. I had 1, 2 challenges. So I'm like, it's not helping, but I was like, I'm not gonna stay quiet because then if I watch this back, I'm gonna be like, why didn't you say anything? You're so stupid. So it was just kind of like I took my chance. I knew it was gonna come up. The teams were small, but I wasn't worried about Keaton, to be honest.
Yeah. And Keaton obviously gets eliminated there. I wanted to ask you about the two people that you get your name written down in a minority position there are Keaton and Emily. Obviously, they vote for you, but then Billy votes for you in one of the votes, as well as CJ. And I believe Billy denies it. I don't remember if he ever um came clean about that to you. Did he ever come clean about that to you? No, not during
No,
the game.
no, not during the game.
But you didn't believe him when he said that he didn't vote for you, right?
No, it's funny because right before I was having a conversation. I don't think they showed it, but Billy was like, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've known Keaton for a long time," and I'm like, "That's all he needed to tell me." I was like, "Okay, you're not voting for me. You're saving Keaton." So I was just like, anything else that came after that, I'm like, I don't believe this kid. I'm like, whatever. So was I surprised? No, but then I called him out right after. I'm like, "You voted for me, even though you told me you wasn't." He's like, "No, I didn't." I was like, "Bye. I don't believe you." So once I don't believe you, that's it. Nothing you can say or do is going to change my mind about it.
So my follow-up question to that was, Billy after that was kind of dead to you in the game, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
oh yeah. And so the other person was CJ. He votes for you during the Emily vote as well as Emily. Um, I believe, does he come clean to you about that during the game, or is that something that you found out post game?
Now CJ told me he was voting for me because the night before, when his name came up in that round, I was the only one that voted for him. So he had asked about it before the whole Coliseum thing, and I was like, "It was me." I'm like, "I'm not gonna lie about it." So he told me, he's like, "Yeah, you voted for me. I'm gonna vote for you, but Emily's my girl." I was like, "Whatever, that's fine." Like again, it's crazy to think about because it doesn't look like I was too worried during when my names were coming up, but I think I had the social capital that people probably didn't focus on too much because I was just always winning. So like I wasn't worried every time my name came up. Like I don't this sounds cocky, but I think I established these connections that didn't really have to be like, "Oh my God, I got you, you got me," whatever. It was just kind of like I already knew.
Yeah. So once CJ does come clean about that to you, was he kind of like dead to you in the game as well?
CJ was dead to me kind of like the moment I voted for him. And then he asked me about it because then after I told him it was me, he's like, "Oh, we should work together because people are not going to expect it." I'm like, "That is phony. I'm not doing that." It's just so funny. I had just this list of people and I never spoke about it in the game. Like, you never really hear me telling people. I was trying to keep sort of who I wanted to myself. But when it came time to be honest about just that one vote, it was never like, "Oh, I'm going to vote for CJ this one, and the next two are going to be like Billy and Emily." It was just one person at a time is what I did.
Yeah. Um, Ozzy, I wanted to ask you specifically about the time that you win captain. I believe it was the second or third time that you won the captain.
Again.
Captain. Yeah. This is during the double elimination. It was funny. You were in the chair and you kind of just seemed over both of the eliminations at one point. But the first elimination kind of was everybody votes out Ali. And then the second elimination was Kira's blindside. So when I was speaking to Kira in her exit interview, she mentioned not being able to get a hold of you during the strategizing portion because you were kind of in a closet in one of the rooms and people were talking your ear off. So I wanted to ask you, um, obviously you vote for CJ during this vote with Kira. Do you think you would have been clued in on Kira's blind side with like Taylor and Marcelo, who kind of like spearheaded that? And had you been clued in, would you have told Kira that that was happening?
1,000%. This is something I said even post game that I wish I got out of that freaking pantry because the only other name besides CJ was Kira from what I'm watching. And people didn't know that I was sort of close to Kira. So if I would have heard her name just once, I would have said, "Kira, just use your fucking pendant." And then CJ would have got out. And I wanted CJ out anyway. So like it would have worked out. But it worked in their favor to for the red team to have me locked up in that clock 25 minutes locked up in one room. I'm like, Jesus, I'm like, I could have like changed that a little bit, but I mean, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. So
Still,
yeah, that's it. That's interesting because when I was talking to Kira, I was curious on whether you would have keyed her in on that. That's good to
because it's
know.
funny when it came down to like when we had to vote, blue team comes up, we're sitting down, CJ hugs me and he's like, "We're voting Kira." So I'm like, okay, is he trying to set me up here? So like if I do vote Kira, which wasn't gonna happen, but I'm like, is that gonna like try to set me up? So they didn't show it, but Marcelo hugs me and points to CJ. So he's like, "We're doing CJ." So I'm like, "We're good. All right, this was the plan." I'm like, because everybody knew I wanted CJ gone. So it
Yeah.
was, I guess they took that and was like, "All right, we can play with it." I was always clued out of these freaking blind sides, obviously.
Yeah, a couple. Do you think that Marcelo, had you had the opportunity to get out of that closet, Marcelo and Taylor would have even let you in, or do you think they would have kept you in on the outs of that vote?
Um, this particular time, I think they would have mentioned Kira again, just
Okay.
because Kira was on my list of people to eventually vote out, just not at that point. So I think they would have been like, "Yo, let's vote out Kira." All I needed to hear was Kira once, and I would have said,
Yeah.
"Choose your pendant." But you know,
Damn. That's crazy.
ascendant always the shit that happens. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Um, so I want to talk about Josh's second pendant play. Josh and CJ, they put their votes on you. Obviously, the other four votes are negated by Josh's pendant. So we're at a tiebreaker here between yourself and CJ, of all people, right? So once the first part of the question is, were you surprised that those two put their votes on you specifically?
More so Josh, like shocked but not shocked. I had a feeling CJ might because I knew that him and he had given Josh the pendant, like which was another thing because he told us he was going to use it, I believe, on Sarah to save Sarah, or whoever it was that Josh was against. So that's why when he had that little montage that, oh, you know, there's snakes. I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? You're fake. You literally told us you were gonna save it on Sarah, whoever it was. You give it to Josh. I'm like, that's fake. But so I wasn't surprised that he voted for me. But I Josh was trying so hard to get me not to vote CJ that round or claiming to be real. I'm like, of all people, you're gonna try to claim you're real to Ozzy. Like, let's be fucking real. So when I saw my name, I'm like, I knew it was them too. It was them too. But I wasn't worried because I knew where my alliances were, and them two were on the outs.
Yeah. And obviously CJ kind of confronts people that are voting during the revote portion, kind of sinks the dying ship that it was, and everybody votes him out on the revote.
Just stupid.
The next round though is another blind side of Sarah that you're not in on. So I wanted to ask you, at that point, once you see Sarah getting eliminated, somebody that you know, you had a relationship with during the course of the game, did you feel like, okay, I might be on the outside now?
It's funny because I was feeling that way since that challenge where I won Soul Captain that I divided the teams. I woke up that morning so uneasy, and I'm like, Ozzy, you have to win because if not, you're out. So I think winning that, and it just got a little bit better from there. But honestly, I thought I was going if I didn't win that challenge.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to be on the outs eventually because you know, you see everyone having these in-depth conversations, and I'm not like usually part of them. So I'm like, whatever. And I relied on winning challenges, if I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, I mean, because from the beginning, like Adam, oh, he's gonna be a threat, let's vote him out. So I'm like, I don't want to be that person. If you're gonna vote me out for being or if you think I'm gonna be I'm gonna show you that I'm a threat, then vote me out. Don't vote me out because you think I am. So honestly, that's why I was just like gunning for winning. And if I wasn't first, I was second. So I was always so close to winning.
Yeah, so your strategy, kind of once you saw Adam get taken out for a perceived threat, was to go and try to win all the captains, basically.
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, we're making these judges so early on. Again, I didn't know anyone. Like some people knew Adam. They said they knew Adam and how he plays. So I'm just like, I mean, if they are willing to cut him, they don't know me. They'll cut me off. So I was like, let me at least establish this threat level. And like Taylor was one who said, we got to get rid of this person because they're a threat. So like there'll be times where people are saying that, and I'm like in the room, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm a threat, so obviously you're gonna come for me. So I'm like, I gotta show them that I'm a threat. I'm not just gonna sit back and be like, oh, let me sit and watch. No, I'll show you I'm a threat and vote me out for a reason, not just because.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you here at Final Five, obviously the ultimate time where you do get eliminated. Did you feel like that added pressure? I know, votes prior, your name had come up, but you did have the social capital to kind of take you through. even a couple of votes on you. But at final five, did you feel like, it was win or go home here?
Yeah, that's why you could see my face during that memory challenge because I'm like, I have to win this. If I don't win this, I'm going. But it was still kind of like I knew it was going to be my time to go, but then like still hearing that there was they had a final four was still kind of like, damn, bitch, like why couldn't it be me? Like I was cool with every single one of them. So I mean, I was upset, but like I wasn't bummed. I'd rather it have been those four than Josh or CJ being the final four. I would have been pissed. So
Yeah.
like, I was bummed, but it was my time. Like if I would have went, everybody was like, "Oh, if you went to the final jury, you're winning." I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll take it." So if you want to get me out for that reason, I'll take it. I mean, it's the game. Like you want to make sure you win. So I guess next to me, it's not a guaranteed win for them. So I'll take it.
So at final five, right? You mentioned obviously them having a four. Uh, do you think there's anything that you could have said? Because obviously this game comes down to a final two, so two people are not going to be in the end game. Is there anything that you could have said to any of the final contestants at that point to you think to save yourself at all?
I mean, one person specifically, I would have to say AJ. I was a little thrown off with like he was so dead set to vote me because I mean, from early on, from the water toss challenge, me and AJ were killing challenges from then, and we always spoke like we need to keep winning because if not, we're out. They took him out, so technically I beat AJ. Just saying. Um, when he came back, still the conversation, and even during the bingo challenge, it wasn't shown. Me and AJ helped each other win that bingo challenge. He told me where my last item was. I told him where his was, and we ended up winning. So like I thought, us being the winners, and he always said it. Here, I'm next to Ozzy again, like the beat comp beast. I'm like, damn, save me, AJ. But I mean, I feel like everybody had their mind made up. The minute AJ said, "Oh, we had a final four," I'm like, oh my god, like I stood no chance. I didn't give up. I was just like, keep me, whatever. But I think this plan was set in motion a long time ago.
Yeah, at that point it was kind of set in stone. Um, Ozzy, those are all the specific game questions that I have for you, like like that have to do with specific votes or whatever. But I want to ask you, kind of an overarching strategy that you kind of implemented this season that I feel like not a lot of people we've seen do this. And that is being pretty straightforward and truthful with what you're doing and voting. So a lot of times we would see you explain to people that you were going to be voting that round, why you were voting with them. Do you think that kind of gameplay, do you think that you can win with that kind of gameplay in another season or implementing, kind of being just straight up with people? Or do you think that you have to lie to win this game?
Um, I mean, some people win by lying. I mean, we've seen that, I guess, in the past. You really don't see people being honest, which a thing for me going in was like, Ozzy, like you being honest might fuck you up. But I mean, I don't think it did. I think it made people know that everything I said, or if I give them my word, it was going to be my word. And I didn't lie not once this season. I think I was paying attention. We were talking about it in our group chats. I'm like, I don't think I've lied to not one person. But yeah, like it's definitely new. I'm surprised it did take me that far, but being someone who is completely brand new to the community, I didn't want to be introduced as this villain or person who's just gonna stab people and stuff like that. I didn't want to do that. I'm like, maybe future seasons I'll do it, who knows? But this first one, I'm like, I wanted the introduction of Ozzy to be like the most authentic possible, and I think I did that.
Yeah. You said maybe in other seasons, maybe you'll sprinkle in a lie here and there.
Listen, it's in all of us, but for this one, I was just like, no, let me keep it honest and cute because I'm like, these people definitely know each other, so I'm like, I'm not trying to put that target on my back. And listen, it took me to final five.
I mean, it took you damn near the end. So
Listen, if you lie to Ozzy, you get eliminated. So careful who you lie to.
Ozzy, obviously you're not finished with this season. You became the seventh member of the jury. And obviously don't want to give any spoilers away here, but what were you kind of looking for when you were going to cast your vote for a winner? What made you kind of want to vote for the person that you were going to ultimately vote for?
Well, based on my like preseason interview, I think one of the questions you asked was like my ally, but I could beat, or competitor who is a competitor. And I would have totally taken not my ally and the competitor because I want to beat the best. And I think I've said it a few times during the season that if I want to win this, I want to go against the best. So to vote for a winner, it would have been based off who would have given me the biggest challenge in a final two to win against. Like if it was going to be an easy choice between me or them, I wouldn't want them. So it was more towards like who was going to give me the biggest challenge to beat them in the final two.
Okay. And then before I ask my final question to you, Ozzy, is there anything else regarding the game that we haven't covered maybe that you want to talk about?
Yes, I got to final five without a damn pendant. I didn't rely on any powers to get there. Okay, so I think I was setting records this entire season, starting with being a newbie.
Absolutely. And there's a lesson to, new contestants. You don't need a pen and a power, and you don't have to lie to get all the way to Final Five.
You see, I'm making new stuff for Ascendant. So there you go. You're welcome.
Okay, Ozzy, my last question is what was your favorite part of the entire experience? Could be about the game, couldn't have nothing to do with the game.
I might. There's definitely a few. Definitely. I mean, I know I sound like a broken record because we've been hearing it all season, but this whole positive thing, it really like I didn't expect it to be such a thing for the season. Like people still talk about it, like the positivity. It was so like good and warming for people, and like that's what I wanted. That was another thing coming into Ascendance. I wanted to bring that positivity to people. Like, yeah, we know it's a high stress environment, but like life goes on. Like, doesn't have to be all like hard work and game stress. Like, that's why when the cameras weren't rolling, it was all good. Like, we all had a good time. Positivity was in full effect. And also, like, once we were done, like, we got the player cards and everybody like signed theirs for everybody else. And I have it hung up on my wall back there. And it's a good reminder of a great time.
That's awesome. And I want to say thank you so much, Ozzy, for all the hype on my channel and in the Discord. I appreciate it. Um, and yeah, I appreciate you playing this season. It was so much fun to watch you, and I think a trailblazer in some ways of
Yeah,
one of the strategies I've never seen before. Tell people exactly
I'm
what you're
telling
doing.
you. Yeah, I mean, like I said, listen, it works for people. So if you want to be honest, you can do it. Just also keep your enemies close, keep your friends closer, okay? Because that's what I say.
Who are you referring to in that regard, or is that going to be a secret?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to watch the rest of the season to see.
All right, Ozzy. Well, I appreciate you so much for playing and coming on and doing the exit interview. It's been a pleasure watching you, man.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.